Hello and welcome to another in our series of Property Marketing Live. My name's Andy Haynes and with me is Andy Phillips, who's a real expert when it comes to marketing for all things business, but in particular in a property business. And today we're talking about your branding, the art of branding your property business. This is one of the key things that we all need to understand and get right in our property business. So let's welcome along Andy Phillips. To start off by Andy, what is branding?
Yes, we're going to go through branding today, and it's an important aspect of your property business. If you're actually taking it into a business and getting out to a wider audience and doing things like posting and all those sort of things, what we're going to be talking about is the art of branding your property business and how it actually goes about. Because I think a lot of people think branding is logos and colours and things like that, and that's part of brand. But there's a lot of things to do in branding when we're doing this professionally with clients, and we're talking about how the brand is actually perceived outside of the business. So internally, we work out what our brand is, but at some point, we're going to have to go out and say, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is what we stand for. And so branding is more about the way people perceive your business and see it as a business that they want to do business with. So it's not just about the colors and the logos. It's part of it, but it's not the key thing. And as usual, we've got an article that goes along with this. If I just pull this down for a second, this is the article that I'm putting out with this, that accompanies this, and it goes into a lot of information in here, talking about defining the brand and understanding your audience and all those sort of things. But you can see there's quite a lot in here that just have a good read of this and start getting the ideas. What I'm trying to do today really is to help people to understand what branding actually is and how it can really genuinely help the business if you start thinking about this in a way that makes sense to you to start with, but also how to relay that information to clients or prospects as they start seeing your business. So I'm going to go through this bit by bit. The first part I really want to go to is this one here, which this is about defining the brand. And this is right from the very, very beginning. And don't forget, a lot of this stuff that we're doing here, and this is the value that we're trying to provide here, this is not little 5-minute sections where we just go, oh, brand is this, and then off you go. What we're trying to do here with these ones within the PIN community is we're actually providing some quite in-depth information, some quite advanced stuff within the marketing process. So these are things that I think if you take this on board and do this within your business, it will make a definite difference, because you'll have a good understanding of what your brand actually is, and you'll be able to relay that to your clients or your prospects much, much better. So the first thing we're going to go into in this is core values, mission, and vision. And these are the things that I've been doing with businesses over the years. When I was working in IT many, many years ago, these are the first fundamental things that we did when we was working on a new project or a new product, a new service or whatever it is. We always looked at our product or service that we're bringing in, and we'd look at the core values of that product. We look at the mission of what we're doing with that product and the vision that we have for that product as well. And these are fundamental things that if you do this and you start getting this down on paper, and one caveat of this is when you first start doing this, do it for yourself. So don't worry about writing these things out for other people to start with. Just start getting this down on paper for yourself. So you don't have to write it in any particular way. It doesn't have to be formatted very nicely and things like that. This is really for you to understand what your business is all about. So let's talk about core values, the very first thing. This is the fundamental principles that underpin your business, exactly what you're trying to do. And this is all about, what do you actually stand for? What's the thing that you do that you stand for? Is it things like integrity? Is it transparency? Are you an innovative company? Do you provide exceptional service? Or do you want to provide exceptional service? What do you want to provide as your core values within your business? And just start writing these things down and say, they don't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be something for other people to consume. This is really for you to understand what your core values actually are as a business, or what you want them to be. The next thing is the mission statement. And we hear this talked about a lot, mission statements. But this is really just outlines what your property business's purpose actually is. What problems are you actually aiming to solve? And this is something which a lot of people, when they go into in the business, they say, well, I know what I'm trying to do, but I've never really sort of written it down, articulated it, and made it a purpose of what we're actually trying to achieve with our clients. Because don't forget, everything we do is about our clients. It's client-centric business. That's the key principle of everything. What are you trying to do for your clients? What problems are you actually trying to solve? Get them down, because you might find that there are things that you maybe not even thought about that you can achieve from your skill sets. If you've gone and done some training, you've got some experience on the ground, there's quite a few things that you can actually offer your clients that you might not have thought about straight away. So what we're doing here is like getting this down. What's the core mission of your business? What's the reason for your being? Why would someone work with you rather than anybody else? So the next one is the vision. And the vision, again, is just really getting an idea of where you want to be. So this is what you're doing right now. And I do this with my own business. I do it with my clients. But this is where I am right now. But where do I want to be in a year's time? What's the shape of my business going to be in a year's time? Or what do I want it to be in a year's time? Maybe 5 years' time. Get some sort of idea of, I'm doing this now. In a year's time, I really want it to be this type of business. So it gives you an idea of where you're going as well. So core values, mission, and vision, really important to get down. I can't underestimate how important this is, because if you start thinking about this and putting this down on paper, and I know you've probably done this, Andy, haven't you? You've sort of thought about, I'm here right now, but where do I want to be in a year's time? It sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I definitely have done this, Andy, and I planned out the next 2024 year because I know exactly where I want to be at the end of it. And the essence of doing all that, Andy, is where you said about the core values. I'm very clear as to what my personal core values are and how they reflect on my business moving forward.
Yeah, it is about the what you're actually trying to provide as a business, and how. This is the how you're going to provide that. What's the things that you're going to be doing to be able to do that? And also in defining your brand, the other things you want to do is what sets your property business apart. And again, this is something which you do need to sit down and think about, because there's lots of different people out there, lots of different businesses out there that may be doing things in a similar vein to you. So if you're doing deal sourcing, there's lots of deal sourcers out there. But what sets you apart from other people? And we call this a unique value proposition, your UVP. But it's about the distinct offering that sets your property business apart from the competition. So are there things that you do within your business, or can do, that you might not have even thought about right now, that will set you apart? And again, this is all around the concept of branding. Because if you can get this down on paper, it means you can start thinking about, how can I relay this information? It's the same with the mission statement and the vision statement and all those sort of things. It's like, how can I get this out to my client base in a way that makes sense to them, and they see where I'm going, they see what I'm doing, they see my value as a business. Your UVP is a really, really important part of this, and we really need to understand what we're trying to achieve and what the distinctiveness of your business actually is. The next thing is just having a really invest-centric approach to your business. The client, the prospect, is the most important thing to your business. Without prospects and clients, you have no business. You have no one to offer services to. So we need to understand exactly who our clients are, why we're going to be working with them in a specific way, and how you can relate what you do as a business to them. So again, really important to understand that your client is the most important thing here. And because of that, the next part two of this is understanding the audience. And I'm going to go through a few little bits and pieces here. We're just going to talk about this for a bit. The first one is preferences. Every customer has preferences of the way they like to work. And through experience, you'll begin to understand what those preferences are. But if you're starting from scratch, you need to start thinking about what those could be. And you can have a chat with a few people and find out, if you was to buy, if you're doing deal sourcing, if you was to source property through me, what sort of things do you want? So they could be looking at preferences like they want stability, or they want to have tailored solutions, or those sort of things. So it's like, what do they actually want? What's the bulk of your prospects actually want from you? What's the preferences they have? Because that's the things that you really need to focus on when you're delivering or offering a sourced deal. It's like when we was doing land deals, we used to go out to our clients and we'd find out what preferences they want, how they want to be offered these products. When do they want to know right early on, or they don't want to know when we're about to break ground, and just that sort of thing. So there's lots of different things you can think about within the preferences. The next one is pain points. Prospects have problems with companies. They always do. And they may have had some bad experiences, and they have an idea of the way a property business works, which is wrong. We talked about this last week. We talked about doing a power content strategy to actually overcome some of those issues. But people do have pain points. Understand exactly what those pain points are. Identify the pain points and it just enables you to position your property business as a solution provider rather than someone who's just selling something or offering something as a service. You're actually providing solutions to the pain points that your clients or your prospects have. Third one is aspiration. What do your investors aspire to? Are they looking to build portfolios? If that's the case, then you want to sort of start putting it in your branding as well, that you help people to build portfolios. Or is it just one-offs? There's lots of different things we can start thinking about. It's like some dream about things like financial security, while others aim for wealth creation. So what are the aspirations of your clients? Because then you can shape your business to provide those aspirations. And the last one is segmentation. Not everybody's the same. Investors are not a homogenous group. There's various demographics, there's different behaviors, there's different needs, that sort of thing. So what we're looking for here is, who do you actually help the most? What sort of type of investor is the best one for your business to help? Because you really don't want to sort of go out and try and find lots of different types of investors, and a lot of them you can't help because your solution doesn't help them. So we really need to sort of segment these different types of investors, because we've talked about there's individuals, there's groups, there's venture capitalist groups and things like that. Who are you actually trying to target? So segment those out. And what happens with this, and it's happened with a few of my clients just recently, they started with, we know who we can help, we know what pain points we can alleviate, we know these sort of things, and it's this type of client. But as they've moved forward and through their business, they've learned more things, or they've experienced more things, or they've tried something, a different way of doing something in business, and suddenly it opens up a new segment for them. So you can identify a different segment where they can help these type of investors as well. So segmentation, again, really, really, really important, because you understand exactly who you can help and how you can help them. The last thing is the visual identity. This is the thing that most people sort of really understand about branding from a very fundamental level. And so we're going to go through the significance and key elements of visual branding, starting with first impressions. First impressions, they always say you can never get a second chance at a first impression. But the biggest point of this is, especially online, if people see a post, your website, a download or whatever it is, and it isn't what they expect, And I'm talking about the level of professionalism here. You know, if it's you chucked out a little Word document or something like that that's really poorly written and those sort of things, that's a first impression you really don't want. So we need to control the first impressions of lots of different things. Some of the first things they're going to see, and I've spoken about this customer route that people go through. A lot of things they start seeing is things like social media posts or ads on social media and things like that. And they have to be well branded. And we'll talk about the sort of, the logos and all that sort of stuff. They have to be well branded, but they have to have that back in the back of your mind. Whenever you're doing a post, whenever you're doing an article, whenever you're doing, text on your website, your website copy and all those sort of things, is having all those other things we talked about, the mission statements and the vision of where you're going and those sort of things all bleed into this. That's why it's so important to do those things and get those things written out, because you understand exactly what you can do. What are the pain points? What are the things you're trying to achieve? What are the aspirations of your clients? So first impressions is all about resonating with the audience, resonating with the client, the prospect that you're trying to attract to your business. And if you don't have a very good first impression, guess what? They just leave and they never come back. And so first impressions are really important. First impression on your website, when a visitor actually hits your website for the first time, it's got to look visually very good. But it's also got to have some great information. So we have this initial look, and that keeps them there because it looks professional. But to keep them there to actually go and do some action, it's got to have a depth of professionalism as well. So first impressions are really important because it pulls people in to your business and they want to know more. Recognition. Branding is about recognition as well. We talk about things like logos, and we talk about color palette, and we talk about imagery as well. With all of my clients, what we do right at the beginning is we get their logo, we get their color palette. Some of my clients don't have that at hand because it's the first really foray into actually doing some marketing. But it's the first thing we do. It's like number one. The first call that we have with a client is talking about, do you have a logo? Is it good enough? Do you have a color scheme? What colors do you want to go out with? What's driven you to actually get those colors together? And really, with color palette, we need two colors. We need two contrasting colors that work really, really well together, and work well with black and work with white and work with gray and things like that. So the more neutral colors, but two primary colors. And I'm not talking about primary colors, but two colors that are primary to the business. So logo will go in those colors. We need to look at the way the logo works on backgrounds and all those sort of things. So it gets a little bit sort of technical, a little bit intricate, but that's the fun of it. This is when a client comes on board with us and we sort of work out these things with them. Some clients come completely prepared. They have a complete branding kit that they've actually gone and got from somewhere else or done themselves. And that's really good. And they've got their logos and they've got the colors and all that sort of thing. But a lot of clients don't come with that at all. And that's really the first step, is to sort of say, okay, let's go and get some logos. Let's look at a color scheme. Let's see what sort of things resonate with the clients as well. And then we look at things like imagery as well. What sort of imagery are we actually trying to get to here? And again, one of the things I think is brilliant for the property industry is storytelling. So storytelling and imagery go together as far as I'm concerned. When we actually start working with a client, we actually tell them to go out and take photographs of, the deals they're doing at the moment, and take it at every single stage. Because once you've actually got, in the property business, we're going to go and find property. We're going to go maybe refurb it. We might be doing, going out and doing open days. We might, we go through a whole stage of this, and every single aspect of that is a part that the prospect would love to know about. They want to see that you're going out and finding property, and what sort of property you're doing, why you're going for those properties, what's the reasoning behind, what's the return on the investments you get from going to do these sort of properties rather than these sort of properties. So storytelling is huge in this. It's a fantastic way of just getting really good content, that if you've got your vision and your all these other ideas that we've talked about right at the beginning, lacing through all that, you are starting to put together a really, really solid, well-defined brand that you can work with for a long, long time. So first impressions, recognition, logo, color palette, imagery, and storytelling are all part of this, this distinctive look and feel and the vibe of your business that you're going to be putting out again and again and again, and really just making it as consistent as possible. So consistency is there as well. So I should put that in as another one. I will do for next time. But consistency is really good because it means that every time someone sees a post from you, it looks like you. Every time someone sees an article, it looks like you. When they see your website, it's all congruent. The branding, the color schemes, and everything else is all congruent right across the board. And so you're incredibly recognized. And that goes down to logo and color palette initially, but also the images that you put together. I've got one client that always takes photographs of every stage of the refurb, and it's just another post. It's another post. It's another post. But there's always the logo there. There's color, the color schemes around it, all those sort of things, and those sort of images are recognized straight away. Because you got your logo on it and stuff like that. So again, it's just making it as consistent as possible right across the platforms: email, website, downloads, posts, the whole works, all has the same colors, all has the same logo. Branding, that's the essence of branding.
It's an amazing world, actually, branding, Andy, because it goes a lot further than, as you quite rightly say, the colors and the logo. It's more about a feeling, isn't it? It's about how we feel when we see that brand, that logo, that person. Think of a supermarket. There are different supermarkets out there, and we all feel a different thing when we think of some of the higher range supermarkets, or indeed the lower range supermarkets. We would go to them for different reasons, and that's the reason why people will come to us in our property business, isn't it? It's about how we make them feel when they see our identity and the niche that we bring.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you talk about supermarkets, and actually a really good analogy, because they have actually sat down and said, who's our client? What are we trying to solve? What problems are we trying to solve for them? So you've got things like, Marks and Spencers and Waitrose, which is sort of the higher end. And so they're going for a certain type of clientele, and everything they do in their adverts, actually in store, all of that is really geared towards that client. But you've also got Aldi. I mean, I saw a program on Aldi the other night about their Christmas and how they do things, and Easter and all those sort of things, and the way they actually promote their business and the products they have, and the branding on the products. It all to do with the clientele they have. And a company like Aldi is sort of seen as maybe a cheaper end of the market. But what they're actually trying to do, and this is their vision statement, is to keep the concept of huge value, but to steadily over the years is to bring up the quality and tell people that the quality is rising, the quality is getting better. And so they have a vision, they have a mission statement, they have all those sort of things. All businesses do. And I think sometimes when we start our own business up and it's just little us sitting in a room with a computer, which is what most probably businesses are when they first start up, we think we don't need those things. But just think of the advantage that you'd get by having that in your mind, actually writing those things down and sticking to those visions, sticking to that mission. If you could do that, you will be head and shoulders above a lot of other people who don't do these things. And I think this is really the point of why we talk about this stuff, is because if you do the things that we've asked you to do, and we've got quite a few of these live property marketing lives all sitting there ready for you to go and watch. The reason why they're there is because if you start doing the things we relate in these lives, then you will be better than the other companies that don't do these things. And so the concept of branding, when we're talking about what we're doing here, and we talked about all these different things, just go and do them. Start thinking about them, because just the act of actually going and writing down some of this information and thinking, who is my client? What do I solve? How do I work with them? What do they want to see? How do I segment these people? Can I help all of them, or can I help just this type of person? If you do these things, it will make it much more clearer in your own mind. It will make it much easier for you to start thinking, how can I promote this? Who am I promoting it to? And how can I make that better than anybody else? How can I beat my competitors? I can get more visual. I can get in front of more people. And it really does work really, really well.
I mean, this session could easily have been called Branding Your Property Business, but instead it's called The Art of Branding Your Property Business. It is an art, isn't it, Andy?
I think it feels like an art, and I think but I think when you actually start doing this, you start to realize that you're doing something far more than just making it look nice. It's much better to do posts with some sort of idea and a concept of why you're doing that post. It's much better than when you're building a website to say, who am I trying to actually attract here? Am I resonating with them? Am I getting into their psyche and getting them to understand exactly what I do and how I can help them? Because that's really all business is about, is how can I help my client to achieve what they want to achieve? And by doing that, providing a service which I can charge for. That's really all businesses are. So if you don't understand exactly where you're going and what you're doing and who you're trying to help, it's very difficult when you first start up, because you'll be doing things in a scattergun manner, and it won't resonate with people. You're trying to help too many people, right across the board. And consequently, most of those people are not right for you. So you need to focus on exactly who's right for you and why you are the one that can help them the best out of all the competitors. And it's so powerful to be able to do that.
So look out then for the link of The Art of Branding Your Property Business. The link is near to this recording. You'll be able to download that. That'll explain things in a lot of detail and will really help you to get your business off and branded in the right way. That's this session. What are we be covering next time round, Andy?
Next time, I'm going to be looking at... we spoke a little bit about content and content creation and what we need to write to get the best results. We talked about power content, and if you haven't seen that one, go and watch that one, because creating powerful content is not easy. And with that one, with the power content strategy, if you go and watch that, then it will give you a great idea of how to overcome objections before they even arise. And as I say, it's very, very powerful to do that. But out of the back of that, I spoke a little bit about keywords and how to find content that people actually want to go and see. And one of the things I was asked was about the YouTube concept, because YouTube, I know people don't like doing YouTube. They don't like doing videos and things like that. But I tell you, if you start doing it in your business, you start building up a YouTube channel, you can get ranked in not only in YouTube, but you can get ranked in Google as well. I don't know if you ever you look at you search for something in Google, and it's got a few sponsored things, and just underneath it there's probably 2 or 3 videos, and these are all coming from primarily YouTube. So if you can actually get some really good short YouTube videos about some specific subjects. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a little hack that we do. It's not to the nth degree, but it's like a little hack that we do with our clients to help them to actually create content on YouTube that people are actually searching for. So there's a few little hacks of finding out what to actually entitle the videos, and some of the keywords you can put within it to actually help it get ranked.
It'll be a great session. It's coming up very, very soon. That's the Property Marketing Live. I hope you've enjoyed this particular edition talking about your branding and the art of branding your property business. Thanks to Andy Phillips, and thank you from me, Andy Haynes, for joining us here today. We look forward to you coming back again next time when we're talking all things keywords. You'll look forward to that one. It'll be a great session, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
See you later.